A kitchen is just like a science laboratory. All the ingredients you cook with are made of chemical compounds, some complex and some simple. Salt is the original food additive. Salt is one of the 5 taste sensations. In the kitchen, we use salt as a preservative to strengthen dough and to emphasize flavors. Salt preserves food by preventing bacterial growth. Essential for life, salt or sodium chloride, as we know it, controls many body functions. Hi, I am Devabrata Goswami. Welcome to a tasty session of chemistry. Chemistry is all around us. And why just around us? It is within us, in our bodies, as our body has many chemicals. We will learn about some of them in today's episode. Today, we will study the preparation and properties of some of the compounds of sodium, like sodium carbonate, sodium chloride, and sodium hydroxide. We will also study the preparation and properties of some compounds of calcium, like calcium oxide, calcium hydroxide, and calcium carbonate. Furthermore, we will discuss the biological importance of sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. And finally, some important questions in the exam decoded section. There are several useful compounds which we use daily. Did you know that powdered laundry detergent contains sodium carbonate as one of its ingredients? Maybe some of us know that. But why is sodium carbonate used as a softener in detergents? Any idea? This is because it competes with the magnesium and calcium ions in hard water and prevents them from bonding with the detergent. First, let's study how sodium carbonate is prepared. Please remember that it is usually prepared through the solvay process. The solvay process involves various stages. Let's understand the first stage. In the first step, saturated brine solution is made to react with ammonia. This ammoniated brine is then carbonated with carbon dioxide to form sodium hydrogen carbonate. This sodium hydrogen carbonate is insoluble in brine solution and is easily filtered off. After filtration, it is heated to 150 degrees Celsius to decompose to anhydrous sodium carbonate. Carbon dioxide produced during this process is removed by heating the solution. It is then reused. The next step is the recovery of ammonia. For this, first limestone is heated to obtain lime and carbon dioxide. Lime, when mixed with water, gives calcium hydroxide. Finally, when the solution containing ammonium chloride is treated with calcium hydroxide, ammonia, calcium chloride, and water are produced. Sodium carbonate is used in manufacture of glass, soap, paper, paints, and textile industries. Sodium hydrogen carbonate is another important compound obtained as an intermediate product through the solvay process. It can also be prepared by passing carbon dioxide through a solution of sodium carbonate, whereby sodium hydrogen carbonate, being less soluble, crystallizes out. Now, an important point for you. Sodium hydrogen carbonate is also called sodium bicarbonate. It's time for a short break now, but before that, let me test your understanding with a question. Sodium bicarbonate is often added to cakes and pastries to make them fluffy. Can you tell me how do cakes look fluffy? Keep thinking or log on to www.topperlearning.com to find out. I'll be back with the answer and more interesting stuff after the break. Welcome back. You are watching Chemistry 11 with your friend Devabrata Goswami. Before the break, I had asked you, how do cakes look fluffy? Here is the answer. Sodium bicarbonate releases carbon dioxide, and this helps the dough to rise and become fluffy. Another important use of sodium hydrogen carbonate is that it is used in fire extinguishers. It is used to extinguish fires that start with flammable liquids such as oil or paint. Why? The reason for this is that sodium bicarbonate decomposes and releases carbon dioxide, which cuts off the supply of oxygen, and thus fire is extinguished. That's an interesting point. Let me ask you another interesting question. Can we use Solvay process for manufacture of potassium carbonate? No, we cannot use Solvay process for manufacture of potassium carbonate. But why? That's because potassium bicarbonate, being highly soluble in water, does not get precipitated when ammonium hydrogen carbonate is added to a saturated solution of potassium chloride. I hope you have understood the Solvay process now. Do you know the name of the scientist in whose honor the name Solvay's process for manufacturing sodium carbonate is given? Well, it is Ernest Solvay. Let's move on to another important compound of sodium, that is sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is produced by electrolysis of sodium chloride in a cell called Kastner-Kellner cell. Let's understand Kastner-Kellner cell better. In this cell, carbon acts as anode and mercury as cathode. Brine solution, that is a solution of sodium chloride and water, is electrolyzed in the cell. Chloride ions get oxidized to give chlorine gas at the anode. On the other hand, sodium ions get reduced to sodium metal at cathode and reacts with mercury, forming sodium amalgam. This sodium amalgam, on treating with water, forms sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. Sodium hydroxide is a white, translucent solid. Crystals of sodium hydroxide are deliquescent. This means if kept in atmosphere, it will absorb moisture. I would like to invite a caller at this point.
Hello sir, my name is Ekta. My question is, if sodium hydroxide absorbs carbon dioxide from atmosphere, can you tell me the name of the compound formed on its surface?
Thank you for the question. Here is your answer. Sodium hydroxide is basic in nature. That's why after absorbing carbon dioxide, it forms a salt, that is sodium carbonate, on its surface. Sodium hydroxide is an important laboratory reagent. It is used in manufacture of soaps in the process of saponification. Another important use of sodium hydroxide is in the textile industry for mercerizing cotton fabrics. Wondering what mercerization is? Mercerization is a treatment for cotton fabric and thread to give it a lustrous appearance. It is also used in the manufacture of artificial silk. That was all about sodium and its compounds. There is no magic formula for learning chemistry. It involves not getting behind but doing your own work. Enough of that. Let's get back to our topic. We will study some important compounds of calcium now. Let's begin with quicklime, that is calcium oxide. Quicklime is prepared by heating calcium carbonate in a rotary kiln at 1070 to 1270 degrees Kelvin. The reaction for the formation of quicklime is reversible, but if carbon dioxide is removed as soon as it is formed, the reaction can be made to proceed in forward direction, hence producing more calcium oxide. Since it is one of the cheapest alkalis, calcium oxide is used in making cement, which is an important ingredient in all construction works. Let's move on to the next compound of calcium, calcium hydroxide. Calcium hydroxide is obtained by simply adding water to quicklime. Have you ever thought why calcium hydroxide is often called slaked lime? Calcium oxide is a solid and exists as lump. Addition of water breaks these lumps. This process is called slaking of lime. Hence, the resulting solution obtained by adding water to lime is called slaked lime. It is this solution that is used for whitewashing. An important use of calcium hydroxide is in making bleaching powder. When calcium hydroxide reacts with chlorine, it forms calcium hypochlorite, which is a constituent of bleaching powder. The next compound that we will discuss is calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is prepared by passing carbon dioxide through calcium hydroxide. This reaction is of great importance since it forms the basis of an important laboratory test to confirm the presence of carbon dioxide. Let us see how to perform this test in the laboratory. In a clean dry test tube, take calcium hydroxide solution. In another test tube, take about 2 to 3 gram of calcium carbonate. Add about 1 ml of dilute hydrochloric acid. You will see that as soon as acid is added, bubbles of carbon dioxide are produced, which are collected and passed through a bent tube to the test tube containing calcium hydroxide. The solution turns milky. The appearance of the milky color confirms the presence of carbon dioxide gas. Are you aware that the gum that you chew also contains calcium carbonate? That was about some important compounds of sodium and calcium. Let us study about their biological importance. Let us start with sodium and potassium. Sodium and potassium belong to group 1 of the periodic table. Their ions participate in the transmission of nerve signals. Another important characteristic of sodium ions is that they participate in regulating the flow of water across cell membrane and in transport of sugars and amino acids into the cells. Other elements which are useful to human body are calcium and magnesium, which belong to group 2 of the periodic table. Magnesium ions catalyze formation as well as helps in hydrolysis of phosphate linkages in ATP. In plants, magnesium ions are present in chlorophyll in the form of a complex. Calcium is also very important for human body. Calcium ions are present in bones and teeth in the form of calcium phosphate. Calcium ions are also required for clotting of blood. Calcium ions in the bones undergo a continuous process of dissolving and redepositing from blood plasma. In a normal adult, this exchange is balanced, but in elderly people, sometimes there is a net loss of bone calcium which causes osteoporosis. Now an interesting question. Can you name the famous statue being cleaned with sodium bicarbonate using the technique called soda blasting? Before telling you the answer, let me tell you that soda blasting is an environment-friendly way of removing paint, dirt, coatings, and other surface contaminants. It does not cause damage to the surface being cleaned. Certainly, we have to care for our environment. But I know what you are interested in knowing. The name of the statue. Yes, it's the famous Statue of Liberty. Time for a break now. Stay tuned because coming after the break is Exam Decoded. Hello everybody, this is Devabrata Goswami. Today we have been discussing some important chemicals. Before moving on to the rapid fire section, let's do a quick recap of what we have learned today. Today we learned about preparation of sodium carbonate by Solvay process. Then we understood the preparation of sodium hydroxide by electrolysis of sodium chloride in a cell called as Kastner-Kellner cell. We also studied compounds of calcium like quicklime and calcium hydroxide. Quicklime is prepared by heating calcium carbonate in a rotary kiln at 1070 to 1270 degrees Kelvin. Calcium hydroxide is obtained by simply adding water to quicklime. We also learned that sodium and potassium ions participate in the transmission of nerve signals. Now that we are through with the main points, let's not waste any more time. On to Exam Decoded. Welcome to Exam Decoded, your very own vault of exam tips and guidelines to securing top marks. If you'd like to assess how your preparation is going, let's do a trial run with a rapid fire round. This is a round of 5 questions, each of 1 mark. I'll give you 5 seconds each to answer them. Then we will total up and interpret your final scores. Let's get started with the first question. Which compound is prepared by passing carbon dioxide through calcium hydroxide? A. Calcium carbonate, B. Sodium carbonate, C. Sodium hydrogen carbonate, D. Calcium. And the answer is A. Calcium carbonate. Now for the second one. Which compound is used as baking soda? A. NaOH, B. NaHCO3, C. Na2CO3 10H2O, D. NaCl. Well, the answer is B. NaHCO3. Here comes the third question for you. Which gas is liberated at the anode in Kastner-Kellner cell? A. Hydrogen, B. Chlorine, C. Bromine, D. Oxygen. The gas that is liberated at the anode in the Kastner-Kellner cell is B. Chlorine. The fourth question coming your way. Potassium carbonate can be obtained by Solvay process. True or false? Well, it is false. The last question coming up. Deficiency of calcium causes osteoporosis. True or false? Yes, it does. So the answer is true. So how much did you score? If you got 5 on 5, then you are a high flyer. A big hand for you. If you got a 3 or 4 on 5, then you are an achiever and just a bit more preparation could get you there. But if you got less than 3, don't worry. Our website www.topperlearning.com is there for you. The topic Important Compounds of S Block belongs to the chapter The S Block Elements, which carries a weightage of 5 marks. This makes it important from the examination point of view. Questions asked from this topic can be short answer type for 2 or 3 marks. They challenge your knowledge ability. Now for the ideal answer. Take a look so that you don't lose unnecessary marks. Write the reactions that occur at anode and cathode in Kastner-Kellner cell. If this kind of question comes for 3 marks, here is how you must answer it. State that sodium hydroxide is prepared by electrolysis of sodium chloride in a cell called Kastner-Kellner cell. In this cell, brine solution is electrolyzed using mercury cathode and carbon anode. Chloride ion gets oxidized at anode, forming chlorine gas. Writing the explanation and reaction will fetch you 1 mark. While sodium ions get reduced to sodium metal at cathode and reacts with mercury, forming sodium amalgam. Writing the explanation and reaction will fetch you another 1 mark. Sodium amalgam on treating with water forms sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. Please remember that writing the explanation and reaction will fetch you the last 1 mark. In this episode, we have discussed the preparation and properties of some important compounds of sodium and calcium and the biological importance of sodium, potassium, calcium and magnesium. Coming to think of it, you know that chewing gum contains calcium carbonate. But why? Keep thinking. I'll meet you next time with another episode of Chemistry.